Hi, my name is Megan, and I am the author of Surprised by Marriage, which I am still currently working on. I finished the first couple of drafts, but I'm working on improving it, and I'm here to answer questions from singles or engaged couples or newlyweds about those different stages of life, even wedding planning and such. So, thank you for watching and joining me in this very first Q&A. And I've had some submissions of questions already, but if you have a question, please also submit yours so that I can answer it and not run out of questions for these videos. And excuse me if I am looking at my notes. I just want to make sure I'm not forgetting anything. So, like I said, this is a Q&A video, and I'm going to answer a question submitted by one of my viewers, but I also have a question for you guys this time, and that is, what percentage of marriages do you think are happy marriages? Like, not just so-so. I mean, not perfect either, but just happy marriages. In one of my previous videos, in my series of videos about going from happily single to happily married, I mentioned how pessimistic I was about marriage, and I want to see your guess in the comments of this video. But I said that I thought, like, just because people didn't get divorced didn't mean that they were happy. And so I was like, yeah, there may be like 3% of marriages that are happy, truly happy till death. And yeah, it was pretty bad. And so if this determines your answer, affects your answer in any way, the book that I got this percentage from was published in 2014. And so, you know, it's a few years old, but I think it still gives us a pretty good idea. And it's crazy, like, this lady said that she would go up to just random people, you know, and ask them what percentage of marriages they think are happy. And she said she would mostly get like 30 to 40% as an answer. She said she had one person that was like standing with her friend who said 30 or 40, and she was like, no, that's way too high. And she said like 15%. And I'm like, oh, I totally was like making up based on my limited experience and I don't know, just like my skewed view, and I'm like realizing more and more how skewed it was. That 2 to 3%, maybe 4% of people are happy in marriages. And she said that from her studies and other like multiple studies consistently confirmed that about 80% of marriages are happy marriages. And it's kind of shocking because we hear about like 50% divorce rate, and she's also talking about how that's always like a predicted divorce rate, and if you include different factors of like people who have gone to college, usually have a lower divorce rate. So anyway, that was really encouraging. It's a great book. I know I told about my favorite book in one of my videos in the Happily Single to Happily Married series, but this is actually another one by the same lady. But I was literally Googling the like good news about marriage because I needed to hear some good news about marriage, and I think I was looking something up for my book. But that was the title of her book, and I was like, this is amazing. So I'll link to it. I haven't finished reading it, but it's just so good already. And I just had to see that. Like, she said some people, like maybe 2 or 3 out of 20 that she would ask would say more than 50%, but nowhere even close to 80% as the guess. And I was just like, yeah, why don't more people tell me? Like, this book has been out for 4 years. How come I haven't heard this before? And I've been looking for good news about marriage. So anyway, I thought that was super awesome. And there's also a Facebook page of the Happy Wives Club, and it has over 1.2 million people who like that page. And that's a lot of happy wives. And just stuff like that is so encouraging to me. And I'm like, why don't we see more of this? And that's kind of what the lady who started the Happy Wives Club was saying. Like, I can't be the only one. So, anyway, I'm going to go ahead and talk about the question that was submitted to me now. And I would love to hear about if you were surprised by the percentage or not, and like how wrong you were, because I know you were wrong. But one of the questions I got was, is marriage hard? Well, actually, the question was, it was typed out in the submission, and it was, is it hard to be honest? And so I could take that two ways, like, is it hard to be honest to your spouse, with your spouse, like to be truthful in a marriage, or like to be honest, is marriage hard? And I thought those were both great questions. So either way that they meant it, I assumed they were asking like, is it difficult to be honest in the marriage? But I'm actually going to address the other one first, about marriage being difficult. Excuse me. And I actually got really sick of hearing how, like, difficult marriage is, and maybe you feel that way too. I figured everyone already knew, and I didn't want to talk about it that much in my book. But then I heard from other women who were like, I wish someone had told me how difficult marriage would be, and I'm like, how did you not know just from observing? And like, seriously, no one told you? But anyway, maybe they just mean like, they didn't tell them in what ways it would be difficult, or that there are difficulties for everyone. I don't know. It's a pretty crazy, kind of complicated thing, but I just want you to think of something that is really difficult in your life, but it's so worth it. Like, think of something like that. For me, it was Greek. So I studied Greek for 3 semesters, and I loved it. And it's like, people kind of think it's weird, but also like, I almost didn't take Greek because people told me how difficult it was. And here's what helped. So one was having a great teacher. Like, he really was amazing, and also like the textbook teacher was amazing. And so we had some different resources there. A second was that I had great classmates. Now, a lot of them did quit, like, beginning of the first semester. Like, we probably started with 20 to 30 people, and you can probably hear an airplane flying right now, because of course I'm doing a video, so it's time for them to fly. But yeah, we ended up with, I think, like 8 students in the class at the most by the end of the 3rd semester. Once you were in the 3rd semester, I don't think anyone dropped out, because it was just like, I mean, I've come this far, this is the last one, and you're used to the process, and I don't know. Anyway, and plus I was just fascinated by Greek. Like, it was something that really interested me. I was interested in what I was learning, and I felt like I really was learning, so that was nice. I was just thriving on it. I loved gaining insights into the Bible and the wisdom of the people who wrote the New Testament, and the ways that it can be translated and the ways that it isn't really translated. And so it was just really awesome, and I actually got better grades in that class than I did in my literature classes, and I was an English major. And the 4th thing was that I was determined, so I put in the time and the effort. And like I said, it was so worth it. And that's really how marriage is, or at least how it can be. So just like plenty of people have no interest in Greek, but, you know, someone else tells them that they should take it, And so they do. People get married because they think they're supposed to or they're expected to. And still other people get married because they think it's cool, just like people think Greek is cool. But they don't really count the cost of how much time and effort it'll take. And so that may be kind of what the some of the wives I had talked to were saying. Like they wish they had known how much effort it would take, and how much time and energy. So yeah, people dropped out of Greek when they realized that they'd have to either give up Greek or give up something else, and they didn't want to give up the other. And this is why we get such mixed signals about marriage, because each person has a different experience and a different perspective about it. So it's kind of tricky. And in next week's video, I'll talk about how hard it is to be honest with your spouse. And if you're enjoying these videos and want to be able to watch more, make sure that you go ahead and submit a question, like I said, and I have a link in the description where you can submit questions anonymously, or you can just leave them in the comments when you tell me what percentage you thought of marriages were happy. And this should be interesting.